weeks, the Sussexes' widely derided dance film is hard evidence that the manipulative Ms. Markle used prosthetic moon bumps to fabricate both of her phantom pregnancies.
For years, Meghan Markle has carefully curated her image. A woman who escaped the cruelty of the tabloids, battled the British establishment, and stood strong as a misunderstood modern royal. But now, someone from her past has come forward. Someone who saw the real Meghan long before the world did. Trevor Engelson, her ex-husband, has finally spoken. And what he has to say isn't petty. It isn't vague. It's specific, personal, explosive. This isn't some ex venting about a failed marriage. It's a man who says he was part of a carefully buried chapter in Meghan's life. A chapter that might just unravel everything she's built, from her Duchess status to her image as a mother. And what Trevor reveals strikes at the heart of Meghan's most sacred narrative, her royal pregnancies. What if the story the world has believed wasn't just edited, but scripted? According to Trevor, there's one moment in their marriage that he's never been able to forget. Not because of the pain, but because of what it means today. He claims Meghan underwent a hysterectomy, a procedure that removes the uterus, ending any chance of biological pregnancy. Trevor says it wasn't a rumor, it wasn't secret, and it certainly wasn't speculative. It was real. A painful, emotionally heavy decision made after health complications. A decision discussed with both of their families. A private chapter of heartbreak that bonded them deeply. But years later, something snapped in his mind when he saw the headlines. Meghan Markle, now Duchess of Sussex, expecting a royal baby. To the world, it was magical. But to Trevor, it didn't add up. He watched as the media celebrated the baby bump, the gender speculation, the glowing photos. But all he could think was, how? If his memory of the hysterectomy is accurate, and he swears it is, then Meghan's pregnancy was either a medical miracle or something else entirely. And that's when it hit him. The entire narrative, from the announcement to the public appearances, felt strangely familiar. Too familiar. Because if Meghan couldn't have children naturally, then what the world had witnessed wasn't a journey into motherhood. It was a production. Trevor's doubts weren't just about biology. They were about timing. And what he noticed shook him just as deeply. The announcement of Meghan's first pregnancy came at the height of a PR storm. The press was turning. Behind the palace gates, reports were leaking. Stories of staff quitting, rumors of diva behavior, accusations of manipulation and control. Meghan's image, so carefully crafted, was beginning to crack. And then, boom, the palace released the pregnancy news. It was perfectly timed. Suspiciously so. Overnight, the headlines flipped from controversy to celebration. The image of a glowing Duchess with a growing bump replaced whispers of conflict and arrogance. Meghan became untouchable again, because who would criticize a pregnant woman? To Trevor, this wasn't coincidence. It was calculation. He had seen the same pattern during their marriage. Whenever tension rose or criticism mounted, Meghan knew how to shift the spotlight. She'd bring up a personal hardship, an emotional story, or spin a narrative that earned her sympathy. It worked every time. When he saw her do it again. Only, this time on the world stage, it wasn't shocking. It was chilling, because it meant that not even pregnancy was off limits in Meghan's strategic playbook. What looked like joy to the public looked like distraction to Trevor. To the world, Meghan Markle was a former actress turned royal humanitarian. But to Trevor, she never stopped acting. Not even for a second. He remembers watching her prepare for auditions, not just reading scripts, but rehearsing emotions. She'd stand in front of the mirror practicing how her voice should shake, when her eyes should glisten, where to pause for maximum effect. It wasn't acting, it was weaponized empathy. And this talent, Trevor says, didn't stay in Hollywood. It followed her into everyday life. He'd seen her cry on cue during arguments, seen her break down in front of friends, then pull it back instantly when she got what she wanted. Her ability to flip emotions like a light switch wasn't just unnerving. It was powerful. He began to see that Meghan didn't just control situations. She controlled perception. Years later, when he watched her tear up in interviews or speak emotionally about her struggles, Trevor didn't feel empathy. He felt déjà vu. Because he knew those expressions. He knew those pauses. He'd seen them rehearsed, memorized. To him, it wasn't vulnerability. It was performance art. The kind that didn't require cameras. Just an audience point one memory. Haunts Trevor more than most. Long before royalty, Meghan played a pregnant woman in a small-budget film. And she didn't just play the part. She became it. He recalls her renting fake baby bumps, practicing how to walk with extra weight, watching celebrity interviews to see how pregnant women sat, stood, even breathed. She'd mirror their movements, soft, slow, and maternal. She even took selfies in the mirror, testing hand placements. She asked Trevor if she looked convincing. At the time, it seemed like dedication. Now he wonders if it was rehearsal for something bigger, because when Meghan appeared on royal tours years later, cradling her bump with the exact same poise, wearing the same soft smiles, posing in eerily similar ways, Trevor says he couldn't unsee it. He felt like he was watching a role being reprised. But this time, the audience was global. As Meghan's pregnancy journey played out publicly, Trevor says he noticed something off. Something deeply unsettling. It wasn't the glowing photos or curated wardrobe. It was the lack of emotional authenticity. According to him, everything was choreographed, not just for comfort, but for impact. She wore pastel tones and flowing dresses designed to highlight her belly. She placed her hands in just the right spots for photographers. She made eye contact with the camera, then looked down lovingly at her bump, as if she were following a stage direction. Trevor believes this wasn't coincidence. It was branding. He says Meghan understood how to make herself look adored. She knew what moved people, and she crafted her pregnancy journey to hit every emotional button, whether or not it was real. While other mothers-to-be focused on nursery prep or emotional milestones, Trevor says Meghan focused on headlines, angles, and optics. Everything had to be perfectly framed, because this wasn't about the baby. It was about her image. The official story of Trevor and Meghan's split is simple. They drifted apart due to distance. But Trevor says that's the fairy tale. The truth? Meghan outgrew him. He says that as her fame grew, so did her emotional distance. She became strategic, detached, focused on networking with people who could advance her, not maintain her. She stopped needing emotional connection and started needing opportunity. And when it was time to end things, she didn't cry. She didn't beg. She didn't even speak. She mailed her wedding ring back in an envelope. No note, no conversation, just silence. It wasn't heartbreak. It was PR. She ended her marriage like it was a contract. Trevor says it was the coldest thing he'd ever experienced. But it was also the most revealing. Because in that moment, he realized Meghan didn't see people as partners. She saw them as chapters. And his chapter was done. The world, the royal family, turned on Meghan out of jealousy, racism, or outdated traditions. But Trevor says there's another explanation, and it matches what he experienced. First, the royals were enchanted. Meghan was polished, confident, perfectly composed. But over time, patterns emerged. Emotional contradictions, conflicting stories, a trail of sympathetic interviews, each contradicting the last. Trevor says the family saw what he saw years earlier. Someone who didn't just manipulate events, but manipulated entire narratives. When the royals backed off, the public blamed them. But Trevor believes they were protecting themselves from someone who knew how to dominate every headline, every moment, every story. He says it wasn't rejection, it was self-defense. Trevor stayed silent for years. Through the marriage, through the divorce, through Meghan's rise to global fame. But there was a breaking point. He says he watched her rewrite their history, erase their life together, present a version of herself that didn't match the woman. He knew that he didn't want to speak. He didn't want the attention. But after watching millions of people applaud stories that didn't add up, he says he felt a responsibility to finally share the truth. I let her control the story for too long, he reportedly told a friend. Now people deserve to hear mine. Conclusion: the greatest role ever played. So here we are. Duchess, a mother, a cultural icon. But what if it was all a role? Trevor's revelations don't just challenge the details of Meghan's life. They challenged the foundation of her public identity. Was she really the victim? Was she really the outsider? Was she even the mother she claimed to be? Or was she simply playing the part of a lifetime? If Trevor is right, then the most powerful performance in royal history didn't happen in front of cameras. It happened off-screen, carefully rehearsed, masterfully delivered, and globally believed. And now that curtain may finally be falling.